So this week we're going to do something a little bit different. This week is going, or I guess this month. This month is a review. The pens that I've been using for about a decade have been, the replaceable tips on them have been discontinued. So I'm reviewing a few other pens that might be able to take its place. There was one, and I just purchased it today. They've been out of stock of it for, I think, a couple of weeks. So it's not here yet, but I'd really like to do a review of it because I think it could potentially take the place of the pens. These guys, the Copic multiliner SP series. I think it could take its place completely. The nice thing about these, and I know I've talked about them before, is that these the tips, the nibs as they call them, the little metal tip there, that can be replaced. So as it wears out, you can replace it, as well as the ink cartridge. This can be replaced. The new one that I just ordered today has a reservoir like this, but instead of it being a plastic thing that you just throw away anyway, it's like a little cotton thing within a little plastic sheath. So I think you can just keep reusing it, keep dipping it, as well as having replaceable nibs. And the new one is also metallic like this. It's got a nice texture to them from what I've seen. It looks pretty high quality, and I spent a pretty penny on one of them. So we'll see once that shows up if it lives up to the hype. It should be here, and I'm hoping to add it to this video. Before I have to release it. But if I have to do another one, I'll just do another one. I'm hoping to get it within the next 3 to 5 business days, and I'm going to test it, and I'm really excited for it. Yeah, I want 5 of these new pens in total, but I got one just to start and see how it feels, how it acts, that sort of stuff, because each pen is different, as I'm about to describe. So I guess without further ado, I've got 3 different brands of pen to go over. So I'll show, and then we'll test it out. I got a piece of scratch paper right here that we'll kind of mark up and go over. So let's look at those guys. These are Sakura Micron fineliner pens. They come in a wide variety of colors as well as packs. That was an 8-pack. Here's a 16-pack of all sorts of different colors. They are all 0.5 millimeter tips or nibs. And then these are gray tone fineliners. They come in 1 millimeter all the way down to 0.1 millimeter nib size. So these are pretty versatile. I like them. They're fun to do little wispy colors with, kind of fade out the black and add just a little bit to it. The 8 set here, they come in black all the way to blue and red, green, all of those. These are all 0.5 millimeter nib sizes. So first up on the old chopping block, we're going to do Pigma Micron. Yeah, it's a Japanese-based brand, as most of the fine liners out there are. The Japanese make fantastic pens in general. They're fantastic. They have precision. The ink is great. That sort of stuff. There is a bunch. Let me grab one more. There is a bunch of different types of these pens from, I guess it's Sakura Pigma Micron. Sakura is the brand of pens. They make a wide variety of different products. I've got 2 different color groups here. So this one has 16 to it. This one has looks like 8. Yeah, 8 color set. So these I got for fun, just to splash some color into some drawings. And then I also got these, which are cool gray tones, which is also sweet. Cool not meaning like, hey, that's cool, but cool like more blue. It's cooler in tone, a little bit of blue added to them. So for this first one, I think what I'll do is I will just grab a black one, which there is a black one. These, there's a few different pen tips of these. but most of them only come in 0.5. Like all of these, sorry, 0.5 millimeter, I should specify. Most of these that I've been able to find, I know they have a fine liner set. I think they're called fine liner. They have going from, I think, a millimeter down to, I want to say maybe 0.2. I think 0.2 is the smallest that they go, I want to say, but I'm not 100% sure. So most of these are just going to be the 0.5 millimeter right there, which is what I found for pretty much all of the color ones that are available to us. So I'm going to grab this black one, and we're going to do a little bit on this piece of scratch paper. I did a test drive on something here, and it just didn't turn out the way I want, so this is going to be our scratch paper. I'm going to zoom in just a scotch. As well as, I forgot, I can get rid of my face, so we can only see what I'm drawing, which will be much nicer. A little bit more canvas for that, so here I go. Bye. Okay, so I'm going to also go over some of the details of these. Something that I do like is just kind of the overall shape. I do like this little stair step. Let me zoom in. Okay, so on these they have a little stair step, and this portion right here, what you hold, has texture to it, so it's easier to grip. Some of them, they leave them really smooth, and that leads to a lot harder time to hold it. So this is a nice design feature, which I really, really like. I found that the nibs, the tips on these, are pretty strong. I use them until they completely die, as I've been doing with my Copic refillable set for forever. So these are nice in the fact that these tips are durable. It's great. Nibs, I should say. That's I guess their technical name. So draw just a few lines here. I guess I should get it centered, shouldn't I? There you go. There you go, everybody. So something that I notice for a lot of pens is when you're drawing and you're putting lines down on paper, sometimes they have a tendency to feel a little rough, a little skippy. Skippy is the best word I can use. It doesn't, it wants to lift off the paper here and there, just from the texture of the paper mixed with the felt of the nib. So there's a few lines right there. So there's one spot right here, and I noticed this. You might not be able to see it as easy. It's a little bit more choppy. It's not as smooth as some of these other lines, and that's something that I really look for when I'm drawing with these. Any sort of fine tip, fine liner of any sort is. When you're putting ink on paper, does it skip? Does it have this little bit of to it? This one has just a little bit, which I'm not upset about. Most every single pen out there will do it at some point. And I find that, I think it's the 0.5 millimeter for pretty much every brand, which is sad because that's what Sakura provides most of their colors in, or 0.5, is that they have a tendency to do that. I don't know why the 0.5 millimeter is that, if I'm holding it incorrectly or what's happening, but they all seem to do that. I grabbed one of this is again 0.5 half millimeter. This is the gray tone. I grabbed one of these guys just to draw a few lines here too. I really like these gray ones. It's fun to be able to add dimension to a piece with a lighter color, but still not be like a color. Not any skipping in there, which is great. I'm just going to grab one of these out of here, and we'll add a few lines. I'm going to grab a bright, obnoxious color. Maybe the pink. I think the pink will do nicely. Yeah. Okay, so I'm just going to add on top of what is happening here. Yeah. which I like. I like this shade of pink. It's a good, vibrant, in your face pink. So things, again, that I'm feeling for and wanting to go over is how well it does with the paper. And it feels nice. It's not scraping. It's not skidding. That is one thing that I can't stand. If my pen is scraping or like skidding too much across the paper. What's another good word? Think of like slamming on your brakes on asphalt or something like that, and your car will slowly come to a stop. Those little jolts. That's what I'm feeling for. So this is very, very smooth. It's nice. In my review on Patreon, I believe I gave these guys a 8 out of 10. Yeah, an 8 out of 10. They're really nice. I think what I gave them a 7. What I knocked most against them is that these are hard to come by in stores in all colors that you want or need, as well as just being confusing to find them in general. I've been trying to get different colors for a long time, and I found this on jerrysartorama.com. They're where I get a lot of my supplies. But if you go search for this on like Amazon, it doesn't really come up. If you try to go find it in stores, it's not in stores. It's just it's difficult to try to find all of the different varieties that they have out there. So in the end, they're a really good brand. They're a nice middle of the road pen. They're not the highest end, but that's kind of what makes them nice. They're inexpensive. Like one of these pens could be $2 to $5, depending on which ones you need and how fine the tip and that sort of stuff. Some of the other pens that I have are far more expensive. Like the one that I just ordered, I'm almost embarrassed to say it, but that one was $75. So these are nice and expensive as in comparison to that other brand. But that was like a super high-end purchase type thing that I don't do very often. So I'm going to set these aside for just a second. These are the Copic non-refillable pens. So I have the refillable ones, and these are just the disposable ones. I was going to open this, and then I changed my mind. Here they are. The nice thing about these is that they come from, this is a medium-sized brush, all the way down to 0.03 millimeter. So there you can see the brush tip, the larger of the two brush tips. This one is the small brush tip. So you can see it's a bit smaller than the other one, which is nice. You can fill in spaces quickly. You can also do some more feathery type design. Here's just another tip. I believe this is the 0.03 millimeter, just to show how small they can go. All right, so next up on the chopping block is another Copic brand piece pen set. These guys are available. I'm reviewing these because I feel it's only necessary with the ones that I use. So these are the disposable pens that they sell. This is the full 8. Is this one 8 or is this one less? This one's 9. Right? Am I counting correct? 9. Yes, 9. Good. So this is their 9 set. Comes all the way from, I should organize these, but there's a medium-sized brush, there's a small brush, and then starting out at the 1 millimeter tip going all the way down to 0.3, which is one of the finest that I've been able to find out there in the market. So that's nice. I hardly ever use that one just because it's itty-bitty tiny. It's like a hair. So it's impossible to see. It's hard to use, and if you press too hard, you crush the tip. So this one's tough to get used to. But that aside, this is their 9 pen set. I'm going to grab the 0.5 and then the 0.3 because those are usually the two that I will use a lot. I use 0.2 millimeter the most, but I think just for this exercise, I'll do this. So again, this is the same brand that I've been using forever. It's just these are the disposable ones, so no replacing tips if you need to or anything like that. Yep. Uses the same ink, which is archival. Same with the Sakura brand pens are also archival ink, which is awesome. They have their own special blend. I find that these are a little bit more gray rather than being black, but it's not too far off, and it's good for layering. So if you put one shade down and then put another one over, it gets darker the more layers you put on, and so on and so forth. But let's look at these. Let me get rid of my face again. And that one. Okay, so with that in mind, let's look at these. This is the 0.5 that I'm going to open up. One thing that I do like about these, and this is something just for anybody with, I wouldn't say I have big hands, but I find that from me working with jewelry so much, I have a little bit of sensation loss in the outside of, the outside of my finger right here. So it's nice to have a bigger pen tip, and same thing here. There's a little bit of sensation lost from polishing compound and whatnot from work. But that aside, let's get over here and zoom in just a skosh. So there and there. Okay. So something that I will be looking for, again, the overall feel of the pen, which this one's pretty slick. Right here, these are very slick, but the size of the pen is good, so it's easier to hang on to. So by comparison, I'll show you the Copic brand one and then the Sakura brand. You can see how much difference there is between that pen, this size versus this. So it's nice to have that little extra meat to hold on to, I find. Nothing wrong with this, because they overcame that with their texture here. So this is textured, it's a little frosty, it's easy to grip. Okay, this one, let's draw a few lines again. And there, right off the bat, as I put this down and I start drawing with it, it feels scrapey. And I think that's just from this being a super duper fresh. Like I've never used these before. These are super fresh, but it is just a little scrapey on the paper, which I don't like the feeling in my fingertips, but these give really good solid lines. So I'll just overcome it and work with it. I do find that you have to, with something that is a little scrapey, if you do press too hard on the paper, you can, I try not to put grooves into paper. So if you press too hard with like a pencil into some really thick cardstock, you'll get an imprint of the tip of the pen or tip of the pencil. So I try not to press that hard, but I feel when it's scrapey, it mars up the paper no matter what, which is just, I think, personal preference. It doesn't really have an impact on your overall drawing or anything like that. Okay. There, lines on paper. Overall, not much of that jumping, that skidding across paper, which is good. Let's go down to the 0.3 millimeter. I gave these, in my review, a low grade. I gave these, I believe, a 6 out of 10. And for a couple of facts. These, the tips are fragile. I've worked with these a lot in the past, and they have a tendency to bend or fray a little bit easier than other brands. Like the Sakura ones that I've had, I think I've had those for 5 years, the 8-pen set. I've had those for 5 years, and those are still pretty pristine, and I've used them a lot. Like a lot. And these, I find, are a lot easier to mess up. I don't know if that's intentional. Like sometimes they make these more fine so that you can get a finer tooth on paper. I don't think it's intentional, but it could be. So that was one knock for me against these in general. I love the brand. The brand is great. I've been using them for years, like I said, but these are the disposable ones, and they change their format, their tips and stuff for these. They're just not as good. In the hand, they feel great. On paper, they feel pretty good. My big qualm, this is my biggest qualm with this brand, and I think it might be just a distribution thing, is here in the US, it's tough to get this brand in individual pens. So I buy the 9-piece set, and that would be this one, yeah, the one I just showed. I buy these and I use them until they start going bad. But if you want a single one, like let's say I use the 1mm tip so much, 1mm pen so much that this starts to wear down, finding an individual one of these is really, really difficult. They don't want to sell them, I don't think, outside of a set. So what do I have to do? I have to buy a whole new set. And some of these I don't use very often. So I end up with 5, I think that's how many I have, 5 unused 0.3mm pens. To me, that's a little ridiculous. That could be a distribution thing. I know they're a Japanese brand that maybe in Japan they are a little bit more, they're a little bit easier to come by, or in other countries they're easier to come by. So just here for the US, I had to knock points off of it for that simple fact, which sucks because it's a good brand. That is my biggest thing with these disposable ones in particular. I cannot stand buying this for almost, I think this is 35, almost $40 for this. I cannot stand buying a whole set of these to let a couple of them never ever get touched, or maybe every once in a while one gets touched, but then I still have 4 unused. So that one I gave like a 6 out of 10. They put ink down on paper nicely. They have a little bit of tooth to them, which I don't like. I think that's just from the fibers in the pen. Overall, they're good. If you want a nice, slightly more expensive brand, then I would definitely go with them. If you want to keep to that brand, because I've been using them for years, and I kind of got into a set where I was like, this is the best, this is what I want. But now I'm forced to branch out. So if you're a diehard Copic fan, get those all day long. Just put up with a few of the different things that are wrong with it. This is a brand called Molotow. They mostly make paint markers, but this is their black liner set, which is their fine liners. They come in all sorts of varieties of sizes, which is nice. They are very, very dark black, which is also very nice. I really enjoy that. It's usually what I like to do. There's my cat Ginkgo. He's in the background. There's always a cat nearby. This pen tip is a kind of like a brush, but it's not really. It's just kind of like a shortened brush. This is also really fun. This is a chisel tip, which I haven't seen too many fine liners come with chisel tips, which I will use at some point. I haven't found a use for it yet, but I'm sure I will. And then this is the smallest tip that they offer, which is 0.1mm, which is plenty small. I usually don't use much smaller than that. Okay, so the final brand, and this one is fairly new to me. There's a artist on Instagram that I follow. She's been using Molotow. That's the brand of these guys, by the way. She's been using Molotow for years, from what I can see, and she loves them. And she normally gets like their paint markers, because they have paint markers. These massive, massive, fun paint markers. So that's what she uses, because she does it on canvas. I saw that they have these guys, and I was like, oh yeah, let's try them. So right off the bat, one thing that I like about this, they have the sizes listed at the bottom. I'm a little anal when it comes to this stuff, so I've got them all laid out so I know where they are. If I want, I could feel which side opens, and I could do this in the dark or not look at them. So I could know that the second one in is going to be the chisel tip, and so on and so forth all the way down. So that's just one minor thing that I like a lot about them. They are, again, archival, which is good. It's a German brand. Molotow is made in Germany, and Germans also know precision and really, really high quality materials. So I had to give these a shot, and I wasn't disappointed. So let's crack this open and look at a couple of them. The shape of the pen, the frosty feeling is nice. I like their logo too. Their logo is fun. Yeah, this is the 0.3. I'm going to grab the 0.5 and let's draw a few lines on paper. There's my face. Bye. So let's start off with the 0.5 since I've been doing that anyway. So these guys, I'll show the pen first. They're nice. My biggest thing is the shape. I don't like the shape. I want to grab all the way up here because that's where I feel like I have the most control, but you're supposed to grab a little bit farther back. It's skinny. I don't like that it's skinny. It does have a texture to it. It has a tooth, so you can grab it easier, which is really, really nice. The length of this is also nice. So from here to here, that is a good amount of pen. So if I do want to get all crunchy up here, I can. I've been trying to stay back. It's hard because the way that I draw is a little bit closer to the tip, so I have a little bit more control, but it's just a learning curve. So that was one of my biggest complaints about this brand is right here. Too thin. I want it just a little thicker. And overall, the pens overall are slightly smaller. I know it's hard to see there because they're not different colors enough. But this is just a little thicker. And I'll open this up and you can see how this is an old set. This is their old way of doing it. Hang on. Let's get one of these new ones out. Yeah, so you can see how much broader that is versus this. So I like holding on to this better because I can get really close to that tip and still have enough meat to hold on to, whereas these are just a little bit more skinny. So that was my biggest, pretty much only complaint. I have two complaints. That's right. The other complaint is that these are expensive. The whole set is $44 or $45, which is a lot for 11 pens. I know that equals out to $4 or $5 a pen, which doesn't sound like a lot, but that's the set. They give you a discount for the set. If you buy these individually, they're $6 to $8. So that's my other big issue with them. Sorry, I just kind of dove into drawing some lines. So something that I find, again, this is a little choppy across the paper. Nothing terrible, but it's there. It's noticeable. These also have I don't want to say darker, but they have a different cast of color to them. Of course, all of these brands have their own mixture of ink to make them stand out from others. And this is pretty dark. It is a slightly lighter black, I want to say, or maybe a little bit bluer of a black. I think, in comparison to Copic here, just a little different. It's not bad. I don't mind it. Here's the 0.3 tip. And again, I find that the smaller you go, the less skipping it has across the paper. I do like the feel on the paper. There's not a lot of moments where I feel out of control, which is good. It doesn't scrape. The tips on these, from what I've found thus far, I haven't used these a ton yet, but I've used them enough to find out, is that they're good and durable. They don't bend, they don't fray as easy, so they're quite a bit more durable, and I like that. And the control is nice, even though it is a slightly skinnier, and you can see how cranked up there I am on this tip here. I like there is one good thing about it. There's this little ridge right here, and that's basically where I hold on with the pad of my index finger. So that's how I'm holding on to this so nicely. It does lead to a little bit more hand cramping, but that's any pen. You hold it tight enough and long enough, your hand will cramp. This just a little more so because it is a little bit skinnier. But overall, very, very nice pens. I think I gave these a 9 out of 10 just because they're dark, they're durable. I don't really mind the cost because you can get around that. Kind of. I mean, if it's worthwhile to get something high quality, then it's worthwhile to pay a little bit extra. So I will definitely be going back to this brand. Yeah, for their pens and other products. I've been using their paint markers as well. So I got a couple sets of those. Very, very nice. I will use these. Let's back up. I will be buying these more often from now on, rather than my tried and true Copic. I like the way these feel. I like the durability. I like that it's German made. I like all of that. I like that these are Japanese made, but I've been looking for something like this, and I like these a lot. So I will buy these over again as these wear out, and if that new expensive pen, which I'm hoping to get soon, doesn't arrive in time, I won't review it. But if that doesn't work out the way I want it, then I will be buying these pretty much indefinitely. There are some other brands that I would really like to give a shot, but they are Japanese and pretty much only available, unless you get it through a few certain websites, are only available on those Japanese sites. So they're much trickier to get, and they will take forever to get here. But overall, here's the three. Let's just write some numbers up top. I want a big pen. Ooh, let's use one of these. Okay, here's their paint markers. They're a pump brush, so you gotta push them on the paper to depress the tip of the pen, and then that'll get them rolling. But so these I gave a 7. These I gave a 6, and these I gave a 9. Oh, I should put out a 10. That's what we got. I do like these as well. These are also awesome. The Molotow paint pens, paint markers. They the tips are replaceable, so you can, if these start wearing out, then you can get a new one. You can refill them, which is also awesome because I like the function of being able to use the same pen over and over. And one thing that I found that other brands like Posca, which is a Japanese brand, these do not have the ability for you to take a peek into the chamber and see how much is left. Whereas, see that black line? Let me grab another one. See that yellow line? Yeah. Yeah, you can see how much is left, and then you can get a refill for it before it runs out. So I like that a lot. I like my tools to be refillable, because sometimes it's nice, like if I use this for 5 years and I know how this feels, and they change the way that the tip is formed or something like that, how they do the machining on this, and then after 5 years when this runs out, I would know how this feels in the hand, and then I buy new ones and I have to get used to it all over again, which adapt and overcome. That's fine. That's fine. But I like having the same pen. I don't know what it is. I take good care of my stuff, and so some things I can have last decades. Like these guys here, I've had these for a decade, and I take good care of them. There's hardly any marks on them or anything. They're just refilled and that sort of stuff. So I like having my original stuff. I like change too. That's fine, but I like having the products that I buy last for a very long time, and so those do. Yeah, I'll try to sum this up a little bit better in the description of this video. Patreon has a really good breakdown of all of this in written form rather than verbal. So if you want to go check that out, you'll have to subscribe to see it, but that's beyond the point. Yeah, if you have questions or anything, put it in the comments below. If you have recommendations, ooh, that's a good one. If you have recommendations for other pens that I should potentially try, I want to know, because that could be really, really beneficial. I know there's tons and tons of brands out there. I didn't touch Arteza. I didn't touch Faber-Castell. I didn't touch Prismacolor. Those three brands. There's hundreds more. I wanted to go with some that I've already had, or something that I really, really wanted to try, hence the German brand. But if there's one that somebody out there screams about and wants me to poke around with it, I will. I definitely will. I'll invest some money to find something new that I like. So leave that in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit all the buttons, do the thing. Find me on my other social medias. I've got a bunch of them. Thanks. Short and sweet. Short and sweet. Short and sweet this week, or this month. Woo! Bye.